Hello everyone. In this video we're going to go over some sample questions for Canadian Citizenship Test. Let's begin. We're going to go over each question and we're going to answer each question together one by one. Feel free to pause the video if you need to do so. Question number 1. What percentage of the Aboriginal people in Canada are Inuit? 65%, 30%, 50%, or 4%? The answer to this question is 4%. Question 2. What are the 3 countries in North America? The USA, Canada, and Mexico. Option 2, the UK, Canada, and Mexico. Option 3, the USA, Canada, and Alaska. Option 4, the USA, the UK, and Canada. The answer to this question is option number 1, the USA, Canada, and Mexico. Question number 3. Where did French colonists who came to Canada settle in? Option 1, Quebec. Option 2, the Maritime Provinces. Option 3, the Prairie Provinces. Option 4, Ontario. The answer to this question is option number 2, the Maritime Provinces. Question 4. In Vancouver, 13% of the population speaks Chinese language at home. Is that true or false? The answer to this question is true. Question 5. What are Canada's 2 official languages? French and Spanish, English and Spanish, English and German, English and French. The answer to this question is option number 4, English and French. Question number 6. What does the Inuit mean in the Inuktitut language? The people, the government, the law, the land. The answer to this question is option number 1, the people. Next. Question number 7. Territorial rights refer to option 1, King George III promising to allow Canadians to have their own ideas. They can say anything they want and publish whatever they like. Option number 2, Queen Elizabeth II promising to allow the French people to have the right to the land on which they lived. Option number 3, King Charles III promising to allow the Aboriginal people to have the right to the land on which they lived. Option number 4, Queen Elizabeth II promising to allow the British people to have the right to the land on which they lived. The answer to this question is option number 3, King George III promising to allow the Aboriginal people to have the right to the land on which they lived. Question number 8. Where have most immigrants come from since the 1970s? South American countries, European countries, African countries, Asian countries. The answer to this question is option number 4, Asian countries. Canada has a multicultural society. Is that true or false? That is true. Question 10. Where does the Métis mostly live in Canada? The Prairie Provinces, Ontario and Quebec, Michif, northern part of Canada. The answer is the Prairie Provinces. Question 11. Peace, order, and good government is a key phrase in Canada's original constitutional document. Is that true or false? That is true. Question 12. What are the people who speak English as a first language called? Francophones, Acadians, Anglophones, or Quebecers? The answer to this question is Anglophones. Question 13. Who were the founding peoples of Canada? Option 1, the Aboriginal First Nations and Inuit. Option 2, the Aboriginal people, the French, and the American. Option 3, the Aboriginal people, the French, and the British. Option 4, the French, the Spanish, and the British. The answer to this question is option 3, the Aboriginal people, the French, and the British. Question 14. What percentage of the Aboriginal people living in Canada are First Nations? 30%, 50%, 65%, or 4%? The answer is 65%. Question 15. Most of the Francophones live in Quebec. Is that true or false? That is true. Question 16. The USA and Mexico also have a constitutional monarchy. Is that true or false? That is false. Question 17. What did King George III do in 1763? Option 1, he promised to allow the Aboriginal people to have the right to farm. Option 2, he promised to allow the Aboriginal people to have the right to speak any languages they want. Option 3, he promised to allow Aboriginal people to have the right to create any art they want. Or option 4, he promised to allow the Aboriginal people to have the right to the land on which they lived. The answer to this question is option number 4. He promised to allow the Aboriginal people to have the right to the land on which they lived. Question 18. Anglophones are people who speak English as a second language, people who speak Albanian as a first language, people who speak French as a first language, or people who speak English as a first language. The answer is option number 4, people who speak English as a first language. Question 19. What was the first expression ever used in 1867 in the British North America Act? Peace, order, and good government. Option 2, work, order, and good government. Option 3, peace, freedom, and good government. Option 4, government, work, and good order. The answer to this question is option 1, peace, order, and good government. Question 20. Where does most Francophones live in Canada today? Quebec, New Brunswick, Nunavut, Northwest Territories. The answer is Quebec. Question 21. What have poets and songwriters hailed Canada as? Option 1, the great outdoors. Option 2, the great dominion. Option 3, the home of the brave. Option 4, the land of the free. The answer to this question is option 2, the great dominion. Question 22. Who were the first people to live in Canada? The French, the Aboriginal, the British, the American? The answer is option number 2, the Aboriginal. What is the Métis dialect called? Prairie, Haida, Canada, Michif. The answer is Michif. Where does about half of First Nations people live today? Alberta, the Prairie Provinces, in reserve land, Ontario. The answer is in reserve land. Gay and lesbian Canadians can get married under the law. Is that true or false? That is true. Who are the Acadians? They are descendants of English colonists who came to Canada in 1604. Option 2, they are descendants of French colonists who came to Canada in 1763. Option 3, they are descendants of English colonists who came to Canada in 1763. Option 4, they are descendants of French colonists who came to Canada in 1604. The answer is option 4, they are descendants of French colonists who came to Canada in 1604. Question 27. Languages other than English and French are widely spoken in Canadian homes. Is that true or false? That is true. Question 28. Between 1755 and 1763, The Acadians were forced to leave Canada and go to Britain, France, and another British colonies. This was called the Great Rebellion, the Great Upheaval, the Great Revolution, the Good Upheaval. The answer is option number 2, the Great Upheaval. Question 29. What is the only officially bilingual province? Northwest Territories, Quebec, Nunavut, New Brunswick. The answer is New Brunswick. Question 30. What are the people who speak French as a first language called? Francophones, Quebecers, Anglophones, Acadians. The answer is option number 1, Francophones. Question 31. Canada is not the only constitutional monarchy in North America. True or false? That is false. Question 32. How many First Nations communities are on reserve land? 1,200, 65, 30, 600. The answer is 600. Question 33. What is an important expression in Canadian government? Work, order, and good government. Peace, order, and good government. Government, work, and good order. Peace, freedom, and good government. The answer is peace, order, and good government. Question 34. Which provinces are in the Maritimes? Ontario, Nova Scotia, Quebec, and Prince Edward Island. Option 2, Ontario, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. Option 3, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. Option 4, Ontario, Nova Scotia, Quebec, New Brunswick. The answer is option number 3, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. Question 35. What are the 3 main groups of Aboriginal peoples? Option 1, Métis, the French, and Inuit. Option 2, Métis, Indians or First Nations and Inuit. Option 3, Métis, Indians or First Nations and French. Option 4, Métis, Indians or First Nations and Inuktitut. The answer is option 2, Métis, First Nations and Inuit. Question 36. What percentage of the Aboriginal people living in Canada are Métis? 1/3 or 30%. Option 2, half, 50%. Option 3, 1/4, 25%. Option 4, 1/5, 20%. The answer is 1/3 or 30%. Question 37. What is the largest religious affiliation in Canada? Catholic, Jews, Muslims, Protestant. The answer is Catholic. Question 38. Gay and lesbian Canadians enjoy the full protection of an equal treatment under the law. Is that true or false? That is true. Question 39. What term began to be used instead of Indian in the 1970s? Inuktitut, First Nations, Inuit, Native. The answer is option 2, First Nations. What is the name of Canada's original constitutional document? The Confederation Act, the Legislative Act, the British North America Act, the Constitutional Act. The answer is the British North America Act. What did the federal government agree to in 2006? Option 1, agreed Francophones to form a nation outside a united Canada. Option 2, agreed First Nations to form a nation within a united Canada. Option 3, agreed Anglophones to form a nation within a united Canada. Option 4, agreed Quebecers to form a nation within a united Canada. The answer is option 4, agreed Quebecers to form a nation within a united Canada. Question 42. Who are the Quebecers? The people of Quebec, the people of Nova Scotia, the people of Ontario, or the people of New Brunswick? The answer is the first option, the people of Quebec. New Brunswick is not the only officially bilingual province in Canada. Is that true or false? That is false. And the last question, when was the British North America Act created? 1786, 1867, 1678, 1876. The answer is 1867.